The movie begins in New York City, where a yoga instructor named Eden heads to a movie theater to meet her best friend, Dawn, who is pregnant. It is their yearly tradition to watch a movie together on Thanksgiving. During the movie, they talk and laugh, enjoying their time. But then, Dawn starts feeling uncomfortable and realizes that her seat is wet. Worried, Eden checks and sees that Dawn's water has broken. However, the fluid is coming out slowly, so they assume there is still time before the baby arrives. Instead of rushing to the hospital, they decide to go for a big dinner first. As they eat, Dawn suddenly feels stronger contractions, and her labor starts progressing faster than expected. Realizing they need to get to the hospital quickly, they leave the restaurant in a hurry, struggling to walk properly due to Dawn's pain. When they arrive at the hospital, Dawn finds it difficult to move, so she and Eden awkwardly crawl through the lobby to reach her room. Once inside, Dawn's husband, Marty, is already there, waiting for her. After a difficult labor, Dawn finally gives birth to a baby girl, whom they name Melanie. However, before the baby comes out, Dawn accidentally defecates, which makes Eden feel sick. Unable to handle it, Eden rushes outside and throws up. Later, Eden goes out to buy sushi for herself and Dawn. She spends almost $500 on it, wanting to bring back something nice for her friend. However, when she returns to the hospital, a nurse tells her that she is not allowed to be there because she is not immediate family. Feeling frustrated, Eden takes the expensive sushi and leaves. She decides to take the subway home and, while on the train, she meets a man named Claude, who is an actor. They start talking and bond over different things, like their jobs and their pasts. Claude shares that he lost both his parents, while Eden tells him that she lost her mother. Since she has so much sushi, she shares it with Claude, and they enjoy the meal together during the ride. After getting off the train, they go back to Eden's apartment. There, they play a game of Street Fighter, and have fun. Eventually, they decide to have sex, even though Eden is on her period. A few days later, Eden tries to text Claude, but he never replies. She starts to believe that he has ghosted her. On New Year's Eve, Eden meets up with Dawn, and they take shrooms together. As the drugs start to take effect, Dawn becomes completely lost in her trip, while Eden begins to have strange visions of herself with a big pregnant belly. Feeling anxious, she decides to take a pregnancy test. But one test is not enough, she keeps taking more and more. After 28 tests, she and Dawn finally accept that Eden must be pregnant. Dawn goes with Eden to see Drive Gil for an ultrasound. The doctor confirms that Eden is pregnant. To make sure everything is okay, Eden agrees to take tests to check the health of the baby. She also visits a clinic to get tested for STDs. At the clinic, she meets Bobby and Benny, who work there and are also her friends. While talking to them, she asks if they know Claude. They say yes but give her shocking news: Claude died the day after Thanksgiving. He had been alone in his apartment and choked on an almond. Eden is quietly heartbroken, as she had felt a real connection with him. Later, Eden finds out that her baby is healthy. After thinking it over, she decides to keep the baby. Dawn promises to support her and go with her to all her doctor's appointments. At the same time, Eden helps Dawn take care of her kids. Meanwhile, Dawn and her husband, Marty, face a problem. Their nanny quits after receiving a better job offer from a wealthier family. On top of that, their older son, Tommy, starts acting like a baby again. One evening, Dawn and Marty go out for a date night, leaving Eden to babysit Tommy. To help him feel like a big kid again, Eden shows him the horror movie The Omen. Eden has another appointment with Dr. Gil, but Dawn is unable to go with her because of work. With no other choice, Eden reaches out to her estranged father, Bernie, and asks him to come with her. At the appointment, Eden starts panicking when she sees the doctor preparing a huge needle for a test. Bernie, who is just as uncomfortable, also freaks out. Afterward, they sit outside and talk. Eden admits that Bernie being an absent father shaped her into the person she is today, and she has come to accept it. Bernie, in turn, admits that he can't attend all her appointments because medical stuff makes him queasy, but he promises to be a supportive grandfather. Meanwhile, Dawn and Marty hire a new nanny, who seems great. However, She quickly quits after Tommy, who was influenced by the omen, starts drawing 666 and satanic symbols all over his room. Terrified, the nanny refuses to stay. Furious, Dawn scolds Eden for showing Tommy the horror movie. She also tells Eden that she needs to find a doula to help her through the pregnancy since Dawn won't always be available. Eden starts interviewing different doulas, meeting several candidates before finally choosing Dragana, an experienced doula and wet nurse. At the same time, Dawn is adjusting to being back at work while struggling with exhaustion and postpartum depression. Before Eden gives birth, she and Dawn decide to take a baby moon trip together. Dawn books them a stay at a hotel and spa, hoping it will be a relaxing getaway. However, the trip ends up being much more enjoyable for Dawn than for Eden. They schedule a massage, but because of Eden's pregnancy, the masseuse struggles to work on her properly, making the experience uncomfortable instead of relaxing. Later, while having dinner, Eden brings up an idea. She suggests that she and her baby move into the basement of Dawn and Marty's house. The basement was originally going to be turned into an Airbnb, but Eden thinks it would be a perfect place for her to live. However, Dawn immediately rejects the idea. She tells Eden that having her and the baby around would only add to the number of people she has to take care of, including Marty and their kids. She also calls Eden immature for getting herself into an unexpected pregnancy. The conversation turns into an argument. Eden is upset that Dawn moved far away to the Upper East Side, making it harder for them to see each other. She insists that they are family, but Dawn coldly responds that she already has a family. Frustrated, the two decide to take some time apart to cool off. When Dawn returns home, she is met with a disaster. A pipe in their house has burst, spilling backed up sewage everywhere and making the whole place smell awful. Overwhelmed, Dawn vents to Marty about how hard it is to balance work and parenting. Marty listens and tells her that he understands because he often feels the same way. However, he also reminds her that he is grateful they can go through these challenges together. As Eden gets closer to giving birth, she is taking a bath when Dawn calls her on FaceTime. Dawn excitedly tells her that her bosses want her to fly to San Francisco for a dentist commercial. Eden is happy for her, until she turns around, and Dawn suddenly sees something shocking. Eden's vagina is expanding, meaning she is ready to give birth. Eden panics and rushes to get ready with Dragana's help. Just then, Dawn arrives in a limo to take her to the hospital. On the way, Dawn apologizes for the hurtful things she said to Eden before. Eden also apologizes for relying on Dawn too much and pressuring her to always help. They reconcile, and when they reach the hospital, Eden gives birth to a baby girl, unexpectedly, since she had thought she was having a boy. She names her Claudette, after Claude. A year later, on Thanksgiving, Eden brings Claudette along to continue the tradition of going to the movies with Dawn, Marty, and their kids. This time, they watch the film that Claude had been working on the day he met Eden. While watching, Eden gently shows Claudette her father for the first time. As they all walk home, Dawn shares some big news. She and Marty have decided to move back to Astoria, just 3 blocks from Eden's place. She admits that she realizes now that they are family and should not be too far apart, even though they will continue leading their own lives. With smiles, the two friends part ways, promising to see each other soon.